So as it turns out, when you build your entire show around sneering at half the country, audiences eventually tune out. Just ask The Late Show host Stephen Colbert. And then there's The View, where diversity somehow means only inviting left-wing guests. It begs the question, is there still appetite for civil discourse and apolitical entertainment? Or has the liberal echo chamber become the norm? Well, Charlamagne certainly has some thoughts. Well, I give you a lot of credit because you have had me on your show. Mm-hmm. You have people with differing viewpoints on a lot of different things on your show. And Charlamagne, I think we need more of that.
Absolutely.
You know, you look, though, at things like, take a look at these numbers. This is The View. The View had, since January, from January until June, or July, look at that, 0 conservatives and 102 left-leaning guests. And then listen to...
Is that real?
That's real. And this is ABC News. And listen to what ex-reporter Terry Moran had to say. He said, but... we were biased, yes. Almost inadvertently, I'd say ABC News has the same problem so many leading cultural institutions do in America, a lack of viewpoint diversity. It's no secret there are hardly any people who supported Donald Trump at ABC News or other corporate legacy mainstream news networks. How important do you think it is to...
Okay, before we get into that, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. Real quick, to me, that's not like breaking news or anything. Like, I think we can all agree that the media in large, all the big ones, even Fox, CNN, all those guys, they tend to cater to their parties, right? I mean, to me, that's not shocking. I think legacy media, for the most part, is starting to catch up to realizing that maybe they need to be more center of whatever side they're on. We're just not typically, a country to where we like either or extremes. I think that's kind of not new news. So let's see what Charlamagne has to say. Full transparency. I am a fan of Charlamagne the God. Don't necessarily agree with everything, but I agree with most of his takes. So as being fair to my audience, I just want to be transparent in that regard. All right, let's go.
Have different viewpoints and allow people, I mean, you're here on my show, I appreciate that, and vice versa, you had me on yours. This is important.
I think it's very important because I think a lot of times people talk about folks they never talk to.
Yeah.
And if you think that a person is spreading misinformation, if you think that a person is lying, then, bring them on your platform and have that conversation. Like, present the facts, present the truth, and then let the people decide. I think that's ridiculous to never, ever have anybody on your show that you don't agree with or has an opposing view of you or is from a different political party. Because at the end of the day, man, regardless of who's in the White House, that person represents all of America. And I reserve the right to criticize both parties.
Well, and I would say that person is a representative of America, and we should all want that person to succeed for America, right? No matter your political viewpoints, right?
100% agree. Like when you ask me, what do I think President Trump has done over the last 6 months? I don't want to say that I think he did a terrible job, but if he's doing a terrible job, I got to call it like it is. And if it was a Democrat,
I will respectfully disagree with you on that.
I understand,
but that's okay. You can have your viewpoint.
But if it was I gave President Biden the same hell too, because I didn't think he was doing a good job. All we want is somebody in those positions that's going to do a good job. I'm not a party person in no way, shape, or form. I want to say I'm an independent, but that don't make no sense because there's only 2 parties in this country, right? So you're going to end up voting for one of the other.
I largely agree with everything he said there. We're allowed to criticize our politicians and hold their feet to the fire. Again, there's nothing breaking news here. The fact that this is even going viral is beyond me. And it will, obviously, we haven't finished the whole thing yet, and we'll get through it. But having said that, I think most people that I talked to was critical of President Joe Biden. Not a lot of people were actually like excited or thrilled to have him. I think he was like the other option. But as far as rallying the troops, I just personally didn't see it. And when he got in office, I think people were critical of him, even people on the left. I mean, rightfully so. As far as the shows, like, you have your views of the world and, all of your other shows, that, to expect them to be anything less than what they are, I think is just, you're setting yourself up for failure. That's just, again, I don't see what the big point is. As far as politicians and being left or right, center, I think everyone can agree on, at least everyone that I talk to in my circle, they're sick of politics. They're tired of politics getting in the way of their everyday issues. And it's never changed in regard to what people want. We all want good schools, education for our families. We all want, you know, a reasonable house or a home, whatever that looks like to you, in a good area, relatively decent area. We don't want crime in our streets. We don't want to be surrounded by drugs and having to live in horrible conditions. We all want generally good health care or access to good health care. And I've always heard people on the right or left say, the politicians shouldn't be the only ones with the best health care, which I agree with that, or sending their kids to the best schools. I agree with that. Frankly, if you are a servant of the people, you need to take a lesser role. I'm not saying you need to live in poverty, but you shouldn't be able to make out like a bandit and, all the ways that they can go into Congress and become millionaires several times over in a few years is crazy to me. That should be alarming to all of us, and I think it is. I think people just search for balance. I don't think it's that complicated. I don't know why we have all these talking heads. It's making things very complicated using big words and big education and statistics and blah, 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 blah. It's like, no, at the end of the month, what am I left with for my family? Can I make a decent wage? Okay. And for most of millennials, especially people in my generation, millennials, as soon as you start to make a decent living, it feels like the game is changing and they're changing monetary policy right beneath us. That to me seems, you feel like the game is fixed. I'm not even suggesting that it is, but I'm just saying what the sentiment is of the people, especially people that I talk to who are in my age group. It just feels like every time you take a step forward, you have to take two back, or they change the game. And so I think people are just tired of that. That's not unreasonable. I've always said, as long as people can get to the end of the month and they have plenty of discretionary income left over. I'm not saying everyone needs to be wealthy. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying when you get to the end of the month, you're not stressed out. After you pay rent, you're not completely broke. How do we get everyone to that stage? You got a little extra cushion, a little some emergency fund. That's a pad, and some of that is self-inflicted. I get all that, and people say that all the time. Yes, that is fair. That is a fair criticism. Yes, 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 and yes. However, for the majority, I think people just want a decent life, and that just hasn't felt that way in a very long time. And so, again, I don't know why. Oh, my camera's doing some funny stuff here. Hold on, guys. Sorry about that. Hopefully, you can still hear me. Here we go. I'm back. Sorry about that. A little technical difficulties. Not sure what's going on. Hopefully, it wasn't too bad. But let's get through this clip before things go left. No pun intended.
Do you see yourself in 2028 voting blue or voting red? And is there anyone you might already see yourself supporting?
I really don't know. I mean, I I think that there's some good candidates out there. I think that we really have to look to the governors when it comes to the Democrats. I don't think that there's any like change agents that's going to come out of nowhere and shake things up in the Democratic Party. I think it's going to end up being a governor, Josh Shapiro or a Wes Moore, somebody like that. And they actually have a track record, right? Because you can go look at their states to see what they're probably going to end up doing on a national level. The only other person I would like to see in 2028 run, and this is going to sound ridiculous probably coming from me, I would love to see Jon Stewart run in 2028. If we're talking about like a change agent coming from the outside that's really going to shake things up, and somebody that I feel like can speak to, all people. Plus he's a celebrity who actually knows what they're talking about. We've seen him get legislation and stuff, passed before. Like, we know where his heart is. He'd be somebody I'd like to see really get in the race and disrupt things in 2028. Maybe a Jon Stewart Colbert ticket, because Colbert's not going to have a job. He's not working because of President Trump, so they say.
Well, people say different things. They also say he lost $40 million.
He just was he's slick on that one. He just kind of baited her in that one. Kind of threw that in there, and I don't know if she's hip to it or she seems to be kind of taking the bait. We'll see how that plays out. But to his point, yeah, I mean, I'm hearing a lot of talk about Jon Stewart, and Jon Stewart is a very smart guy. If you've watched him for a number of years, I think we can all agree he's a pretty smart guy, and I think he's pretty balanced for the most part. He's not doesn't strike me as too extreme either way. He hasn't really, he's not running, so it's really sad what he's gonna do. But if he were to run, why not at this point? I think the one thing that Trump has done, he's taken the mystique out of it, if you will. I think he's given hope to everyone that says, as long as you surround yourself with a good team, and that's not a knock, that you too can be president. It was a little harder when you were faced with someone who was, come out of Harvard or Yale or these schools that the majority of Americans most of us aren't coming out of those schools. Having him break through in a weird way, I think it did give him, give people hope. Like, we could do this. But again, I think Jon Stewart would be a good opponent. Wes Moore, I'm not familiar with Wes Moore. I've watched him from afar, not in that state, so I don't follow him as close. And Shapiro, obviously very popular. So, yeah, I don't have a problem with Jon Stewart.
A year for CBS, which is also a bit of a problem whenever you're trying to have a successful show. If you had to pick a Republican who might be able to earn your vote, is there anyone you like that you would look at? I
mean, I was in South Carolina. I grew up in South Carolina under, somebody like Nikki Haley, right? So I can see something like that. I do think, and this is, I think that traditional conservatives are going to take the Republican Party back. I think there's a political coup going on right now in the Republican Party that people aren't paying attention to.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I think that this Epstein thing is going to be a way for traditional conservatives to take their party back. I really do. I think that they know this is the issue that has gotten the base riled up. The MAGA base isn't letting this issue go, and for the first time, they know they can, probably take their party back and not piss off the MAGA base.
I largely agree with that. Just simple fact that, it is a big issue, and people are really clinching down on that. And I know a lot of traditional Republican people who are just frustrated. Completely frustrated of everything, name calling, the late night tweets, all of it. And so I think, I don't know if they're planning a coup or anything like that, but I could agree that I think most of the traditional Republicans will be ready for Trump's administration to just be done and over with, and then they can have run whoever they're going to run, whether it be JD Vance and whether it be whoever on the Democratic side. I don't know, but yeah, I think Trump and there won't be another Trump, and there won't be another Barack Obama. I think those two are one of ones, and yeah, those two are in the class, a league of their own.
I think they're going to do that.
Well, I would say, we've never seen a typical election since the day that Donald Trump came down the golden escalator. So
Absolutely.
I don't know that we'll ever
True.
see another typical kind of traditional election
When you
with
say-
traditional Republicans. I don't know. I feel like things have changed, the game changed, and to say that the old guard is going to kind of come back, that's a lot. That's a big statement.
But that's the mistake Republicans are going to make. Republicans are going to make the same mistake that Democrats made. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. Barack Obama was a one of one, once in a lifetime,
Yep.
Political juggernaut. And since Barack Obama, every Democrat has tried to be Barack Obama. You're not Barack Obama.
You got to be yourself.
It's going to be the same
Yeah.
thing with Republicans. Say what you want.
They all try to do it, and they're all awkward, and it's so frustrating. Even Kamala Harris. I have a reaction video I'm gonna do to her interview with Colbert, and yeah, I got some thoughts on that, and maybe I'll just save that commentary for that video, for that reaction video, and then you guys let me know. But I do agree. You got to be yourself. You got to be authentic. You can't be fake authentic. You just got to come across real. And I'm not a strategist by any stretch of the imaginations. I've never run for anything in my life, but just being an observer, it's like when you see this, it's almost like you ever been in an accident and you could see if you've ever been in a car accident, usually it happens in slow motion. It feels like, and then you're like, uh-oh. And then when it happens, you're like, oh man, you were just able to see it in slow motion. I feel like that's the same when it comes to a lot of, right now anyway, Democrat runners who are running for some type of office. Particularly, we're talking about the presidency, so the president. And it was a lot of interviews that you saw that as soon as they were talking and just in their element, you're like, ooh, don't. And then they, boom. It's like, oh, too late. And so I think that is a problem that needs to be addressed. And I don't know how to address it. I don't even know how to give any opinions on it. It's just something I've observed. All right, let's get back into it.
Donald Trump is a once-in-a-lifetime,
That's
one-on-one political juggernaut. You're not going to be Donald Trump. So if you think you're going to be able to do what Donald Trump has done, talk the way Donald Trump has talked, get away with what Donald Trump has got away with, it's not going to happen. So everybody right now, we have the opportunity to have like a huge reset. I think you should blow it all up. I think that people are really sick and tired of what we've been presented from both parties. By the way, we knew this before the last election. They were telling us that like 70% of people did not want to see a rematch between Trump or Biden. So it's just like we know we want something different. Everybody wants something different. So I think that if Democrats keep doing the same old thing, they're going to keep getting the same results. And if Republicans, think that they can repeat what has been done and don't try to give the people something new, they're going to get the results they don't want.
Well, just to wrap up here, and I appreciate our whole conversation. You on your show have a lot of young viewers. You're very influential, I think, with a lot of people. What would be your message to this next generation of voters? Because they're going to play a very pivotal role coming up in these midterms and coming up in 2028. What's your message?
Let's stop listening to the catchy slogans. Let's stop putting on jerseys for different parties, and let's just focus on the people who are putting the ideas out there that truly are going to put more money in your pocket and truly are going to make you feel safe in this country. Like, who is the forward-thinking people that are talking about, making this country more affordable, who are talking about really making you as an individual smarter, telling you what sectors to get into the world to make, this country better. Listen to people's ideas. Like, we focus too much on individuals. We focus too much on identity. We focus too much on party. What are people's ideas? Because that is what is going to always win.
All right. Well, Charlamagne, we appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for sitting down with me, and I hope we'll see you back here soon.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I agree 100%. We need to start viewing our politicians just for what they are, politicians. They're not your family members. Maybe in some cases they are, but for most of us, they're not your family members. It's not that you can dial them up on the phone personally. They are tools to get jobs done and to do the bidding of the people, period. Stop idolizing them. Stop putting them on pedestals. No, you are hired to do a job, or you're voted to do a job by the people and for the people. So get after it, period. You get no award show, no parades, no glamorous this and that. No, I want results. Okay? That's it. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments section. I'll put a link to the video. And yeah, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Be curious to know what you guys think in the comment section. Take care until next time. Take care. Bye.